great management skills with good turnaround times for deadlines. I'm a dependable person, and I'm trustworthy, people can count on me. Cultural awareness is really big in this community, and not any community. I'm bilingual, and I can speak to anybody from the state level, federal level, down to our local people who work in our community. So I feel like I can communicate to anybody, and I feel like I can deal with anybody in our community, because I have the experience that I've had. I've advocated to make Alamosa a county as in the past. I've advocated at the state level, because Alamosa is my community. I love Alamosa. I was born here in Alamosa. And my children came from preschool, kindergarten, to all the way through Adams State College. I've owned a business here for over 25 years, and still passed it on to our daughters. So we're rooted in the community, deeply rooted in the community. And as I've said in the past, I think the county commissioners need to really collaborate with the other biggest entity in our community, the city. We do not need a bigger government, like I said before. We need a more collaborative government. And we need a collaborative government in the sense of economic development. We need a community that we can work with our sheriff and police department, so we can implement programs like LEAD, so that our jails are not overcrowded. We also need to work with our medical field, like Dr. Troy, and get maybe a coalition started with those folks, so we can get a medical detox, or perhaps just some folks in here that can help us out with keeping our jails. We have a brand new beautiful jail, but that's not the place where we want to put people if they don't need to be there. We need to have those folks becoming better citizens and doing what they can and be better citizens in our community, in our state, and our world. So, I just think that there's a lot of work to be done. I think Alamosa is progressive. There's a lot of work that's been done already, but we want to stop there. We need to continue moving forward and work with younger people, get newer ideas, work with those folks that need help, and we need to talk to those folks that can help us. Because believe it or not, I don't know all the answers. Never have, never claimed to know it all, but I believe that I can get some good advice from folks. And one thing that I plan to do, or like to do, if I'm elected as county commissioner, is to have listening tours, to get out in the community several times a year and say, what does Alamosa County need? What does Alamosa County want? Where do we want to be? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? But I think that's really important, to listen to the citizens of Alamosa County. So that's one thing that I would like to do.
Thank you, Mr. Beal.
Thank you.
Good job, sorry. Now we'll hear from Michael Young.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here this evening. I want to thank Randy and Keith also for putting on this forum. Ruthie, Pete, appreciate you. I'm Michael Young, Alamosa County Commissioner, a former business owner, and a United States Army veteran. To all the veterans that are here this evening, thank you for your service. I was born and raised in Alamosa, and after graduation from Alamosa High School, I served in the United States Army. While stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, Janet and I were married. She's been my wife for 47 years. After touring Korea and honorably discharged, we returned to Alamosa, and I managed Willis Oil Company. After that, I attended Southern Colorado State College, where our daughter Brenda was born. In 1976, we returned here to Alamosa to make it our home. I was manager of Willis Oil and Sunwest Oil for over 20 years. I finally ended up buying those two companies and formed Broadway Service. It was successful until 2008 when we sold the company. And I still wanted to be involved in the community, and so I ran for Alamosa County Commissioner. I was elected and served on many boards. I still have that desire to serve Alamosa and the residents of Alamosa. This is kind of referring to one of the questions I heard earlier that I'd already planned, is Alamosa is growing, and with growth, we need to keep up with our infrastructure. We have built a new annex building, and we did it on schedule and under budget. We built a new airport terminal and runway. We did it on schedule and under budget. We are adding on to the jail, which is sad, but it was necessary. We have a new courthouse going up, and it will be under budget. We've seen them go way out of, way over budget, and we just do not want that at all. We have roads that are being paved, and we are adding new roads to our inventory. We've increased the sheriff's budget and the district attorney's budget in an effort to help fight crime. We're looking forward at our future projects. We've improved the environment by hiring a full-time environmental health person. We have a blight ordinance. We are closing the co-op landfill and cleaning up the Devil's Playground. Let's keep Alamosa moving forward and be physically responsible to all the taxpayers. Please vote for Michael Yon, Alamosa County Commissioner. God bless all you, and God bless America. That's 3 minutes.
Thank you, Michael. We'll move into the questions, and this kind of ties in with our question for everyone. And we'll start with you, Michael, since you spoke second with last go around. What new vision can you bring to the county?
Thank you, Keith. New vision, like I said, we're looking forward to new projects. The infrastructure, it was mentioned earlier that Alamosa County is growing. We have grown at about a 3% increase per year. Now, this isn't a big boom, but we also don't have that big bust. So when you have a 3% growth, it's kind of manageable. Transportation is a big issue here in the valley. Medical services, transporting people to and from for medical service, not only to our San Luis Valley Regional Medical Center, but also outside of the valley for a lot of services. We, like I said, the airport is going to play a major role in this, and we have pretty reliable service now, and we hope just to grow that bigger. When we did our agreement with Boutique, we limited it to 2 years to see how we can improve that. And if we can't do better than what we have been, which is pretty good, we will look at alternatives and try getting a bigger airlines in here. But until that happens, we do have a great service as far as the air service. Business is coming in, it is evolving. There is a recreational is big now, ag business is big, hemp is coming in. It's just unlimited really what can be coming up. So keep your eyes open and look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder to our remaining candidates, we'd like you to keep your answers to the questions to around 2 minutes, please. Same question for you, Mr. B. Hill. What new vision can you bring to the county?
Thank you, Keith. So Alamosa is a one-night town right now. People come into the sand dunes, come to the train, and we need to do something better than that. We need to keep them here to spend their money in tourism. Also, we need to embrace our agricultural community. Hemp is the new gold golden crop that's coming in. We need to actually really embrace that, because I think that'll bring a lot of farm added value to our farmers and ranchers here in our community. We need to embrace the products that we already have. So I believe that we need to collaborate also with the city, as I said before, so that we can figure out how to keep people here an extra night or two and have them spend their money here in Alamosa. We also need to really continue to embrace people like clubs like the Early Iron. We need to continue to see how we can help them make their shows, their projects better, so that we can have a much better turnover and keep our visitors here a little bit longer. We don't want them here forever. We want them to come, spend the night, and leave. And that would be one of the things I'd like to do out here. Is Alamosa is progressive, and I think with the vision that I have, I think that we can probably do that. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some collaboration. It's going to take some time. So I think that with that, I think we'll just need to continue to maybe do some studies on other things. I don't know what they are right now, but I think we need to do some studies to do. So thank you.
We're going to go right back to Mr. V. Hill. Alamosa County, and don't hold me to these statistics, whoever asked the question probably knows what they're talking about. Alamosa County has a 21% general poverty level and 27% child poverty rate. What is your plan to combat the massive poverty in Alamosa County?
You know, there are several propositions in the ballot right now that may alleviate some of that. The other issue that we have is schools who, at this point, are overwhelmed with those issues. And I think we need to support our teachers a little bit more. We need to support our school district a little bit more. And we need to, you know, with our social services, as county commissioners who are in charge of the social services, we need to see how we can look at those statistics and make it work better for us. Because right now it's not working. We've got a massive unemployment, massive opioid problem. But we also have, you know, some challenges with people not being able to keep jobs. And, you know, homelessness is a situation that we need to improve. So I think we just need to get out there. And like I said before, we need to have some town halls. We need to see what the people are doing and what they're asking of us. I think we need to listen to the people. How can we have more help to our community? How can we give more help to our citizens? And I think by collaborating with folks like LaPuente, folks at the county level, or the city level, I'm sorry, the school districts, and see what they're doing, so we can get better ideas, so we can hone in on some more help, maybe get some grants that can alleviate some of those things. But it's a long-term problem. It's not going to be solved anytime soon. And so I think we just really need to look at how we're distributing our funds and our services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Would you please repeat the questions?
Sure. Alamosa County has a 21% general poverty level and 27% child poverty. What is your plan to combat massive poverty in Alamosa County?
Thank you, Keith. When we say we have 21% poverty rate, you know, I'm on the workforce board, and unemployment's less than 3% here. People that want to work are working. Now, they may have to work 2 jobs, and I know that the poverty is real, but I think at 21%, I don't know where that figure come from.
U.S. Census,
Okay.
What year?
Yeah.
2010, the last,
Okay.
or 2014.
2010.
2014 or 2010.
We're 2018. I think things have really turned around. If you go through town, look at the businesses that are hiring. We're just finishing up with harvest. We had a hard time fulfilling all those jobs for truck drivers and harvest work. You know, and they're paying $15 an hour and up. You know, there is property, but I think that the biggest problem is drugs and going back to the opiate. Trying to get someone qualified to work at a decent job. Most places want a drug test, and you know, a lot of them are failing that, and that's unfortunate. Sheriff Jackson mentioned we needed a treatment center here. I agree 100%. You know, we need the education and treatment for the addiction. Thank you. Hard.
I'm gonna go right back to you, Michael. Yeah. What can be done to improve the roads in the northern part of the county?
Thank you, Keith. That must be somebody up in the northern part of the county. Thank you, Roy. I can't. How about improving the road in front of my house? I moved there 35 years ago, and it was a road dirt, and it's still a road dirt. So I'm in East Alamosa. Yeah. We put over $300,000 in new asphalt for the coming year. 2018, we had 320-some thousand. Now that sounds like a big number for money, but when you're buying asphalt, that doesn't go very far. So our road and bridge department is one of our smaller departments, actually, funded at $3 million annually. So they do everything they can and stretch that just as far as they can. Now we are considering chip sealing. Some people hate that because it gets on their cars, but it does work pretty good, and we're experimenting with that and hope to do a lot more with that. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Beal.
Thank you, Keith. Us on the roads in the north parts of this county, and they're pretty rough. Gotta admit that. You know, we have a tiered level of taxing for roads. It's called the HETF funding. It's highway user tax funding, and it's different counties get different amounts. Mr. Young quoted $3 million, and he is correct. But I think there are alternatives. Like one thing that I get a lot is we've got some folks out in the county, in the north side of the city, there, the north side of the county, that do have health problems, pneumonia, or just not pneumonia, but they got some have pneumonia, but some also have chronic breathing problems, and the dust from those create is really bad. So maybe perhaps if we can't improve as much, maybe we can listen to those folks and try to alleviate with maybe some kind of watering down at certain times. Maybe we can, I don't know if the road inventory is complete. I'd have to look at that. I'm pretty sure it probably is. But how can we allocate, manage, and plan to grow out the infrastructure? Because after all, our communities are tied to those roads, and they also bring people to our community to live. We want to have those folks be here. So that's an important priority that I would make, to try to get the roads improved in the northern and all parts of the communities. So it's a big project, and I don't know how we do that, but that's how I'd like to do it.
Thank you, and we'll go right back to you, Mr. Beal. What one issue is the most important to Alamosa County? How would you fix it, and what are the obstacles in doing so?
I don't think you just have one. I think you have several. But the one that's most and dearest to my heart is probably the opioid crisis in our community, because it's costing us jail space. I don't know how much the sheriff spent last year on housing inmates out of the community, but it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm sure. And that's money that leaves the community and never comes back. And if you could put that money into roads, if you could put that money into programs, and by passing the initiative 1A, I believe it was, I think that helped a whole bunch. But I think that, plus not having people that can work, because they can't pass a drug test, you know, and their families suffer, and so they end up, again, in the Department of Social Services. And so, those are funds also that, you know, they're necessary, but I think that they could be better used if we didn't have to use them for just those purposes. So I think that that is probably our biggest one problem. And I guess I'll leave it at that, I guess, no problem, since that's what the question was.
Thank you. Mr. Young, same question.
Thank you, Keith. I think the biggest concern for Alamosa County and for me would be the opiate addiction and the way that we are going about it. I think it has to be a three-fingered approach to curbing this and helping it. You've got to have the education to start with, not only for the youngers, but even adults using pain medicine and everything need to know the consequences of it. Then we need a treatment center for the ones that want to be treated. And then, of course, we have the jail. The jail issue is something that we had to have it, but we hate to have it. You know, that is no place for addicts to be detoxed and then trying to get clean. But we have to have that. That is the biggest issue. Now, if I asked some of you, it would be the roads issues. So, and that is true too, because a lot of the services, like our human services, we have $16 million going into that per year. And that is helping the families and such. You know, that's what most of you don't see. What you do see is the road out in front of your yard. You know, so when it comes to what is more important, it's who you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to our commissioner candidates. The question is, the city of Alamosa has given the County Economic Development Group $29,000 each year over the past 3 years. The county has given $6,000, $1,000 from the county and $5,000 from the lodging tax board. Would you work towards matching or exceeding the city's investment in economic development? And we'll start with you, Mr. Vito.
Thank you, Keith. Of course, I work towards that goal, because like I said before, we need economic development. And if the city is investing that kind of money in it with the lodging tax, some of the hotels being outside of the city, I think we need to figure out how we're going to create more jobs in our communities. And I think that money that we match would be a very good start. And I think we don't just need to rely on that kind of money, but I think we need to explore other avenues of economic development. But that $29,000 would go maybe towards a grant writer who would give us more money so that we could go through the tourism board, see how we even leverage more money so that we could get better economic development here in Alamosa and our surrounding communities here now at Hooper, Mosca, you know, now Waverly is doing, we have some beer distributors, not distributors, but places that have, right now, they've opened up their businesses in those communities. And so I think we just need to help those people out, get more entrepreneurs involved, and help them out, and see how we can help the entrepreneurs in the community, see how we can cultivate more entrepreneurs in our community, and have some kind of a plan. So when we get our entrepreneurs, I'm sure the state has programs through the State Economic Development Office. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. Mr. Yan, same question.
Thank you. Economic development is very important to Alamosa County. You know, we fund it in many different ways. You mentioned 29,000. Wasn't it 26,000? You got 3 extra thousand right there. So
In fairness, the city has lowered that annual amount this year for 2019 to 25,000.
Right. And to try backfilling that out of the county would be, who do we take it away from? You know, you've got this pot of money and this pot of money. All of it's spoken for. It's up to us to kind of determine who needs it the most and where it goes. But if we give a little to everyone, then they can keep going. If we take all the funding from anyone, then they cease to exist. So it's a balancing act. We support it all we can. And thank you.
Thank you. Our final question for the county commissioner candidates. Now that the jail addition and courthouse are completed, what do you believe should be the next priority for the county? If you answer opioid crisis, how specifically can county commissioners address that problem?
So, could you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry, I got distracted a little bit.
Sure. Now that the jail and courthouse are completed, what do you believe should be the next priority for the county? And if you answer opioid crisis, how specifically can county commissioners address that problem?
Okay, so we need to continue to try to get some additional funding, whether it's from the state or the feds, to see how we can fund programs and keep programs, or maybe get additional programs like LEAD, so that we can get additional programs to maybe house or get folks like, how about Dr. Troy, have private, have centers that are medical that can deal with the horrific withdrawal symptoms that some of those folks have. And so we just need to be more collaborative with and reach out, because like it's been mentioned here, we have a finite amount of money. So we need to be smarter by trying to reach out to where those deeper pockets might be. And I think we can do that. If we can do that, I think there might be some places that we can actually leverage funding so that we can get more funding for the programs that we already have and create new ones that alleviate those types of crisis that we have, those types of shortages that we have right now. And with that, I think we just need to continue to be really progressive and see how we can leverage and talk to people at the federal, state level, and in maybe other communities, so that we can get ideas at least how we move forward. So it is a big problem, and it's not only here, it's just all over the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
Thank you, Keith. On next projects, the jail is not complete. The addition of the jail will take another year to complete it. The sales tax that we are receiving is for the certificates of participation that we were issued for the $24 million. That one will not be paid off until 2035. At 2035, that sales tax is eliminated to 0.025% to continue the operations. So actually that money is not going to be there unless the voters want it there and come back to us with another idea. Most of our ideas come from the citizens, not from government. A couple of projects that we do have on the way is the 6 North that goes from Highway 17 into the Great Sand Dunes. We'd like to resurface that. We have applied for a grant and we have got it okay for $10 million. Now the county has to come up with a match of $2 million. So that's what we're working on now, trying to get together $2 million to accumulate the 12, which will be a big step. I mentioned earlier about the Devil's Playground that used to be down here on the east side of 8th Street. where next to the railroads, where we had a big drug problem there and everything. We contacted with Honeycutt and they came in and cleaned it all up and they're redoing it. We're hoping that they will donate 5 acres there and have a humane society for dog shelter, cat shelter, and have it in there. And hopefully we can work on that. And again, roads. Y'all like roads, everyone travels on them. So we are looking at that, thank you.
Thank you. That wraps up our questions for the commissioner candidates, and again, let's give them another round of applause. I did want to recognize someone else here this evening that's unopposed on the ballot. She's going to kill me for doing it, but County Clerk Melanie Woodward is here and just chose not to speak. All right, we'll move on to House District 62 candidates and opening comments. Please again try to keep it to 3 minutes, and we'll start with you, Mr. Valdez.
Good evening and hello. I'd like to thank Alamosa Chamber of Commerce, Randy Wright, Keith from the Valley Courier, and Ruth and the board members here from Society Hall. My name is Donald Valdez and I'm running for re-election for the State House District 62, which encompasses 8 counties here in Alamosa, Conejos, Costilla, Rio Grande, Saguache, Mineral, Huerfano, and Pueblo. We are here in October with the fresh snow on the mountains up high, and with the beauty of the San Luis Valley and with the culture and heritage. What a beauty that snow is, because this last winter with the amount of lack of snow, how it's hurt our communities, especially the agriculture communities. I'm committed to working hard and focusing on economic development, accessibility, and quality health care, affordable housing, infrastructure improvements, education, veterans' health and wellness, and job creation for our communities. And I want to thank all our veterans for their service, and let's give them a round of applause. We need to continue to work on ways to fully fund education, early childhood education, K through 12, vocational trades, and our teachers need to have the resources to continue to grow our next generation of leaders, business owners, and educators in our community. This last year, Senator Crowder and I introduced a bill to fund $30 million for rural schools. In the 2017 session, I passed the telehealth bill for more affordable and accessible health care to reach a doctor or specialty care. How many of you guys have a smartphone and have a health app on it? There's a Doctor of the Day app on there. You can go on and apply and research a doctor. Also passed a bill for rural fire protection districts for equipment and training for our firefighters, which will be available for application status this next month. Also, I was a sponsor for the usage of agricultural water for industrial hemp in 2017. Water is our lifeblood, and we are in a time where we have had very little moisture this past winter. And from the report of last month from the Division of Water Resources, our aquifer had lost 250,000 acre feet since May of this last year. And with many reservoirs in our watershed being attended for maintenance, storage of water is very low in our watershed. We need to ensure our drinking water is safe and lead-free in our schools, daycare facilities, especially in our homes. We need to continue to focus on water conservation practices being more efficient and educate others on our natural resources and aspects of our watersheds and how our watersheds are so dynamic to the future of our economy and our community. And as you know, we have a significant opioid epidemic in our communities. And as a result of it, we're taxing our first responders, our law enforcement, our jails, our health care are increasing, and our DA's office is underfunded. We need more prevention, education at an early age, and in every home, treatment to build our communities one life at a time. Ask for your support in the upcoming election to continue to voice for Rural Valley as the state capital. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from Republican candidate Honeycutt.
Thank you,
guys very much. Good evening. I appreciate y'all coming. My name's Scott Honeycutt and I'm running for House District 62. I was born and raised here in Alamosa, Colorado. I've lived here for over 50 years. I am married to a beautiful blonde lady right there by the name of Erla. We've been married for 28 years. We raised 2 sons, Tail and Oren, and I have 2 very special daughter-in-laws, Lacey and Sheldon. And I do have 1 super fantastic, awesome grandson by the name of Lacey. I come from a rodeo and a ranching background, which gives me a lot of experience in hard knocks and hard work. Walt Oswald was my grandfather. He started the rodeo company in 1949. Jerry Honeycutt, my brother, still runs it today. God, family, country. Them are my 3 main priorities. That's how I try to live my life. I believe we're in a time that we need to go back to what our forefathers and the men and women that fight for the freedoms that we hold so dear, we need to get them back. That's the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the right to bear arms. We cannot afford to lose these rights. Education is huge to the future of this great country. We need to enable our teachers to do just that. Teach, not be babysitters. We have every AP class in the world for young men and women who choose to go to college, which is wonderful. But we've neglected the vocational classes for the ones that choose not to go right away. I would like to help bring back the ag classes, the shop classes, the wood shop, and the auto shop classes, the welding classes. We need to bring them back to our junior highs and our high schools. Water is a precious resource. We just heard Donald saying I couldn't have said it better, but I am going to repeat kind of what he said. We need to help educate everyone on the conservation of this precious resource. We need to help develop the crops, the plants, the feeds that use less water, have the same yield and relative feed value as we do now. This is truly possible. When it comes down to the end of my statement, it's been said that the needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few. Well, I disagree. I ask you, is that true when the few feed the many? A wise woman by the name of Mary Owens once asked me, are you going to be part of the problem, or are you willing to be part of the solution? I'm here to tell you, I am willing and able to use my work ethic and my integrity to be part of the solution. I'm Scott Honeycutt. I appreciate your vote. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. We'll move into the questions, and Mr. Honeycutt, we'll start with you. What single issue do you consider the most critical, I would guess, for both House District 62 and the state? Explain your approach to solving it, including obstacles to realizing a solution.
I'm going to go a little different road here. My big issue is the red tape and the amount of government that we have to deal with today. I think we can do a lot by eliminating the red tape and get some progress made in the opiate problem. Now, I'm going to be right straightforward and upfront with you. I don't have the answer of how to do that yet, but I have some very good people in mind that I can go to and ask and get information on how to do that. We have to stand up as Americans and not turn a blind eye. And I truly believe that we can conquer these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. You can't single it down to one issue. There's many issues that we have in the area, and opioid is one of them. The usage, the most important thing is addiction. Addiction on all levels, which is hurting not only our family, our friends, our community, and it's rising the cost of health care, our first responders, our law enforcement, our jails. This last year, I pushed to allow medication-assisted treatment in our jails. And you know what they told me? They said, what are you going to use those that are in jail as guinea pigs? I said, no. It's a volunteer-assisted program for those to get help. But it all starts with our education. We need to continue education on all aspects for our children. It needs to start in our schools, but most importantly, in our homes. To making the right choices in life. To choosing the high road, not the easy road. Our youth are our next generation. We're going to continue moving us forward. And if we don't have our youth engaged, not only in agricultural activities, to learning where our food comes from, and I thank Matt Sinclair for being an FFA director, how important that is. It's crucial to know where our food comes from, but also planting that seed every single day and nurturing it. And that seed is with our youth, with our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Into the second question, and again, start with you, Mr. Valdez. What motivates you to serve the people of this district in the Colorado House of Representatives?
What motivates me to continue voicing for rural values and principles at the state capitol, for voicing for our water and how important it is to our communities, to the agricultural communities. And if we don't have snowpack, a heavy snowpack, which they're predicting a heavy wet snow with El Nino coming. But till I see it, when we see the measurements in the spring, to have enough water flow to produce a crop and make sure we can harvest it at the end of the year, and how vital it is. Agriculture is our backbone here in the San Luis Valley in southern Colorado and in Colorado, and water is our lifeblood. Not only for the communities, but also to our bordering states and the country of Mexico, and how important that is. So I will continue voicing at the Capitol for education, for our agriculture, for affordable and accessible health care, and how important that is with San Luis Valley Health, for Valley-wide health systems here in Alamosa and surrounding communities. But also for our infrastructure, our roads and our bridges and broadband. One of the issues that I see right now is not having a quality of cell service. How many of you have cell service? How many have a cell phone? I do. And every 7 miles, I have a drop call. And I'll tell you one thing, we need to work on that service to make sure that we have a connected communication from one location to another and getting our voices heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Honeycutt, same question.
I don't think I need to repeat it, Mr. Keith. I think I got that one. I tell you, I'm excited, plain and simple. God give me the right to stand up here and tell you what I think, and I owe you. It's time I give back to you all for giving me the opportunity to become what I have, where I'm at today. I'm excited and ecstatic about being able to listen and help others the way Rusty Johnson, Mike Yon has helped me, Roy Honeycutt, the veterans in this place. It's my responsibility as a citizen and a native Coloradyan and Alamosa San Luis Valley to give back to my community. And I'm excited to be able to do everything in my power to do that. I will listen and I will strive to make grand strides in making this place better for our kids and their kids. So why am I excited? Because I feel like I can give back. It's like driving a school bus. If you can reach one person, one kid on that school bus and change their lives, it's worth it. If I can help one person out here, it will be worth it. Thank you.
go right back to you because the next two questions are pointed at you each individually. So Mr. Honeycutt, the question is, how can the Colorado legislature keep costs under control?
Mr. Keith, I'm gonna be right truthful. That's gonna be pretty hard for me to answer, because I'm not sure how things operate up there right now. The one thing I can tell you is that I told you my opening statement, I believe in cutting red tape. And I'm sure there's ways to do that. But I can't sit here and tell you exactly how that will happen.
And as I said in the opening statements, I am going to give each candidate the opportunity to respond to the same question, Mr. Valdez, if you'd like to respond to that. How can the Colorado legislature keep costs under control?
To keep the costs under control, make sure there's accountability on every aspect. But also listening to the issues and concerns of the people. What needs, is whether it be roads and bridges, in looking at Proposition 110, I was looking at those projects in there for the infrastructure. There was not one for the San Luis Valley. There was one, to say it was north of Salida up north. I was very hurt by that. Why there wasn't more projects in here, whether it be Highway 160, Highway 17, Highway 285. We have a lot of state highways in here. We even have a state highway that has 7 miles that are not connected, of pavement. It's on a dirt road in Pinellas County. So there needs to be accountability. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. This will go right back to you, Mr. Valdez. How are you going to be able to keep up with the water projects that will be required to sustain our water with population growth?
To keep up with the water projects. Today I was at the Interim Water Basin Committee, and we heard from state individuals about the water plan, about the infrastructure, about growth. Growth not only in the San Luis Valley, but on the Front Range. I will continue to advocate to keep our water here in the San Luis Valley. Our water is so precious to our communities, to the people, to our agriculture, and also to our downstream users. Yes, we're in a lawsuit with Texas and New Mexico, but we need to have a balance on that, on a compact. And the amount of water that we have right now is going downstream. We need to look at barriers to expand storage for water usage. The amount of reservoirs that are being worked on and maintained right now, whether it be Mountain Home, Rio Grande Reservoir, Trujillo Meadows, it's going to take a long time to get those reservoirs back up to the average storage. And if we don't have snowpack back-to-back years, we're going to be hurt. Not only in our communities, but in our agricultural aspects. With the sub-districts coming in, and we're waiting for the judge to make a judgment. Thank you.
Mr. Honeycutt, would you like to respond to that?
That one I better have you repeat. Pretty easy.
How are we going to be able to keep up with the water projects that will be required to sustain our water with population growth in the state?
I'm gonna steal some thunder from a guy that works for Coors. He has spent 7 years developing a barley that takes 1/10 of an inch of less water per water. Bob Brunig is a pioneer in this process, so I know it can be done. That's step one. Step two, I think each one of us here can do a better job at conserving water. As Donald pointed out, they are making big time strides, in the storage of water and our problems of sending it downstream. We still have to abide by the compacts. But I think each one of us can save hundreds of gallons of water a day. I think that's where we start, because progress is inevitable. So we start with ourselves and then build out from there.
Thank you. And Mr. Honeycutt, I'll go right back to you. What are your views on the second amendment?
As my opening statement, I firmly believe that our forefathers fought for a reason, to give us the freedom to stand up here and say what we think and the right to bear arms.
Woo!
I will not vote for any kind of legislature that takes them rights away. Now, I may be shooting myself in the foot with a lot of you, but I'm going to stand up here and tell you that that's our God-given right, and I'm going to enforce it to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Mr. Valdez, same question.
Thank you, Keith. As one of only another representative to pass a firearms bill in the state this year, me and Representative Liston, we passed House Bill 1077, which increased the penalty for theft of firearms. And you know where that came from? From listening to my constituents. We had burglaries, and we had burglaries and theft of firearms in some of my friends' property. It happened in San. Crime. We need to reduce the amount of crime that happens in all our communities. And it starts with education. And I stand strong for our Second Amendment. And I thank Representative Liston for moving that bill with me forward. Because yes, it does increase the penalty in the felony. And I hope those individuals do not make that choice again. Thank you.
And our final question for our House candidates this evening, and we'll start with you, Mr. Valdez. How do you propose improving school safety in our state?
Well, thank you, Keith. This last year, we set aside $35 million for school safety. Now, those schools can use them at their discretion. Whether it be a resource officer, whether it be security, cameras, whether it be securing their doors. And as I tour some of the schools in our communities, I look at them and say, now why was this built this way? At the time, we didn't have to think, I'm still to myself, say our schools are a safe zone. It should be a safe zone in all aspects.
Woo!
With 2 new schools going up, the one in Del Norte, the one in Sawash, they're implementing safety procedures all the time. And I'm glad when I go to schools and make sure that the door is locked. You know what, and if it's unlocked, I ask them, why is that door not locked? Can anybody come here at any time? Our schools should be safe at all times for our children and never have an aspect of thinking twice. To go there and learn the beauty of learning and opening up a book or a computer. But our educators, I thank them on a daily basis for educating our youth and how important it is to get an education, because an education opens up opportunities, opens up doors. It gets them involved, not only with their family, but with others. And if individuals want to go off and get a higher education or vocational trades or join the service, amen. They're always welcome to come back. And I hope they come back and open up a business and establish themselves here in our communities with a family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Same question.
Thank you, guys. It boils down to, we need to do whatever it takes to keep our kids safe, plain and simple, okay? I'm gonna go back to when I was growing up. I had a shotgun and a 22 in the back window of my pickup. Okay? Whether that's right or wrong, we just was rabbit hunting one night and forgot to take it out of the pickup, and we never had school shootings back then. I truly believe that the reason we didn't is because everybody had a gun. You know, I mean, everybody did. I'm gonna start by saying we need to educate everybody. We need to educate our kids. We need to educate the people around us. We need to have a better awareness of what's around us. There's a group, and I wish I could remember Lori's last name, but they're arming teachers. And they're putting these teachers through a training that is so intense, it's almost like a SWAT training. We're giving the kids, the teachers and the school districts the opportunity to make the choice of how they feel it's best to protect our kids. We need to stand behind them. I truly believe we need to educate them. We need to educate our kids on their surroundings. How many of us see kids that have headphones on and have no clue crossing the street if the car is coming or not? So I'm going to stay with education, and I'm going to say that we continue to take care of our kids and we keep our guns and teach them how to use them. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you guys for having me.
Let's hear it again for our House candidates. And just a reminder, as most of you probably, like I did, received this week, that I'll call it Sears Roebuck catalog of state amendments. There are some that we'll be voting on in a few weeks that could greatly affect the valley one way or the other. So I encourage you to study and seek help from others that maybe know more about it than you do, because this is maybe a record year, at least in a number of years, for the number of propositions and amendments that are on the ballot. It will be a godsend to us next week when they have to pay the publisher. That's another story. So I just, again, wanted to thank you all for being here. I think we've had a really good forum, and seeing this kind of attendance here proves to me that we really do care about our futures. Thanks again for coming. God bless you.
That's it.
Wow.